guys, Preacher 357 here, coming to you from the range again, bringing you another gun here, and this time it is a Glock, the Glock 43X, a gun that I had never shot before. I put just a few rounds through it just a second ago, and that was the first time I'd ever pulled the trigger on one of these guns. I've shot the original 43, but I'd never tried the 43X. So I borrowed this from a friend of mine, Daryl Cunningham, who works at Cooper Firearms in Dyer, Tennessee as well. And he actually had this on his waist at the time. I said, let me borrow that. And he pulled it off, unloaded it, and gave it to me. So I only have one magazine, because that's all he had with him at the time. And we'll get on to him for not carrying a spare magazine. Everybody knows you're supposed to carry a spare magazine. So we'll get on to Daryl for that. He didn't carry a spare magazine with him, but we'll forgive him this time. But I did get another magazine for it. What I got is one of the Shield Arms 15 round magazines. So I thought while we're reviewing the 43X, we'd also kind of review the Shield Arms 15 round magazine as well, because you know, I hate to use the term game changer. It gets thrown around a lot. But if you can get 15 rounds into, you know, a smaller size gun, then that's saying something. You know, 15 rounds is pretty high capacity for a handgun, especially a small handgun, because that will make this 43X the same capacity as the Glock 19, which, you know, is one of the most popular carry guns of all time, and a much slimmer profile, a much slimmer package here, which means it's going to be more comfortable inside the belt to carry, especially if you're concealing inside the waistband. So, you know, that says something. The first thoughts that I had about this gun when it came out, when I got it in my hand, is that it is bigger than the other small micro 9s, I guess you could say. The competition for the SIG P365. You know, that was the standard bearer. That was the first one that came out with this staggered magazine that had the higher capacity, and it had a 10 round capacity in a very small package. Here is my SIG P365 here. 10 rounds. Well, the Glock 43 was kind of Glock's answer to that, and it also has 10 rounds. However, if you put the two up to each other and you look, pretty big difference in the size of this gun. The 43X is a little longer, but really where you see it is in the grip. Much longer grip, which means the 43X is going to print more, because the grip is really where you see printing when it's inside the waistband, and it's going to make it harder to pocket carry this gun. The SIG P365, there's a lot of people that pocket carry it. I don't pocket carry it. I've thought about it. It's small enough. I think I could get away with it in some pants that I have. But the 43X is just about going to be too big for me to pocket carry. Now, maybe some people do. But if you can pocket carry this, you can just about pocket carry a Glock 19 as well. So, you know, it's a pretty big gun in the grip. Though it is fairly short. You know, it's shorter than the 19. Here's a 19 to compare the two. You can see it's a lot slimmer profile than the Glock 19, and it's longer. The Glock 19 is longer than the 43X, but if you look at the grips, they're identical in length. So you're getting the same length grip there, but in this slim grip, you're going to get 15 rounds in the Shield Arms magazine, which is exactly what the Glock gets. So, you know, that's something that makes the Glock 43X a little more appealing to me, because I'm only going to get 10 rounds in this. If all I get is 10 rounds, I'm not sure that this would be preferable to the P365 because it's bigger, same round capacity. And the only thing would be if it's much more shootable because it has a longer grip, maybe. But, you know, that remains to be seen. But, you know, 10 rounds in a gun much bigger than the P365 in the grip, I don't know that that's something that would appeal to me. However, 15 rounds, you know, this would replace something like the Glock 19 if you were wanting more rounds than 10. So I think the Shield Arms 15 round magazine really makes this a much more appealing package. But it all depends on how reliable the Shield Arms magazine is going to be. how well I like the Glock 43, as 43X, as far as how it shoots. So I'm going to put it through some of its paces here. I got some Federal ammunition, I got some American Eagle, some Federal Champion, and some Blazer. So a little bit of all of Federal's offerings here in 9mm. It's all 115 grain. And I'm going to shoot the 43X here and kind of get an idea of what I think of it. So far, with the 10 rounds that I shot, just to kind of sight it in and see where it was hitting, which it seems to be hitting a little bit low left for me. So is that trigger pull? I don't know. Maybe I'm just having trouble with that because it's a really thin gun maybe, and it's turning in my hand or something. So I'll have to work on that, and usually the more you shoot it, the better you get at that. So anyway, my first thoughts were I wasn't blown away. I really think the Shield P3, the Shield, I'm saying Shield again, I did that in another video. The SIG P365 and the Taurus GX4, to me, both shot as well as the 43X, just my initial impressions. But, we got to put some more rounds through it to really get an idea. So we're going to start out with a 10-round Glock magazine here and just do a little shooting here and see what happens. See if we like it, see if we can hit anything. Let's give her a try here. I think I grazed it first. There we go, got it on the last round. And it's not shooting too bad. Not too bad at all. For having such a long grip, though, I mean, you would expect it to shoot pretty well because you get the full grip versus the smaller guns like the 365 where you really don't get a full grip. Your pinkies are hanging off. See if I can hit this little 3-inch plate. Well, I hit it, but the magazine fell out. Wonder if I just didn't have it seated properly. I don't think I got one in the chamber. There we go. That was unexpected. Maybe that was just me. Maybe I didn't have the magazine all the way seated. But she sure did fall out. But I hit the 3-inch plate. Let's keep going. That's a one-off, and I'm going to say that was just me not seating the magazine all the way in. Slow down on these littler ones. Yeah, the 4-inch plate gave me a little bit of fits, but that's not unexpected. It's not shooting bad. I mean, it's not. The recoil impulse is a little sharper than I would expect for a gun with that length of grip. It feels like it has a pretty sharp recoil compared to even the GX4 or the SIG P365. But let's load up a few more rounds here and try it out a little bit more here before I do any more comparisons. And I plan on shooting a few of these other guns as well alongside it, just to kind of get a comparison. Obviously the Glock 19, if you're going to choose the 43X over the Glock 19, you want to see what the comparison is to how they shoot. Are you going to shoot the 43X as well as the 19? Are you giving up some accuracy? Not necessarily inherent accuracy, but the ability to shoot it well when you switch over, or does it shoot just as well? Can you not tell the difference? So we'll do a little bit of that as well. And I'm going to shoot the 365 and the GX4 as well, and just see how I think they compare. Now the 43X has been extremely popular. A lot of people like this gun, and a lot of people have bought these Shield Arms magazines. I know when they first came out they had some issues, but this is a generation 2, so I believe they've worked those out. I don't think they're still having those kind of problems. I haven't heard anything recently But of course, anytime you're going to carry an aftermarket magazine, you're always got to make sure that it's reliable. Well, even if you're carrying a factory magazine, though, you've got to make sure it's reliable. You can't just say, well, it's a factory magazine, so I don't have to worry about it. You've got to get out to the range and shoot it, because I've had some factory mags that were trash. So, but usually Glock magazines are fairly good from the factory. So let's do a little bit more shooting. Why don't we go out here to 80 yards and just see if maybe I can hit this thing. I don't know. I don't know. I cannot see. I don't know where I'm going. I can't see any impacts. Let me aim a little bit low and see if I can see where it hits. I'm not even seeing anything. I don't have very good light right now, so I'm not sure where I'm going. I'm just wasting ammo going over there, so we won't. Because it was hitting a little bit off. I was having to use some Kentucky windage, so I was really going to have to walk it in there to kind of figure out at 80 yards where it was going, and I just can't see what I'm doing well enough to do that, so we're just wasting ammo, so let's just stay over here. All right. That must be what it is. I am not getting it fully seated and thinking I am, because I just dropped it out again. So that is user error, I'm going to say. Which, when I'm the user, more often than not, there's an error, right? That's usually when the user error comes into play, is when I'm the user. Oh, there we go. It seems to be doing pretty good, as long as I seat the magazine. If you don't put the magazine all the way in, it falls out. So let's load up another mag here. I'm just going to load up the 10 round mag. Then I'm going to load up 10 rounds in all of these other guns as well, and we'll see how they compare. Hey guys, I just want to take a minute to remind you that if you go to the description in this video, or in any of the videos that I have posted, you will find there that there is, in the description, a link for a discounted membership to the GOA, the Gun Owners of America. They are doing good work for us in the fight for our gun rights all across the country, but even here in Tennessee as well. But if you're a resident of the great state of Tennessee like I am, then also please join the Tennessee Firearms Association. They do a lot of work for us here in this state, and unfortunately it's not free. And the anti-gun organizations have got a lot of money backing them up. And it takes money to support our gun rights, to be able to lobby these politicians. It's not free. And so if you can help out in any way, I'd urge you to do so, not just with money. If you can help out with volunteering as well. We need manpower. We need people to get out there and get the job done. So I would ask you to join one of these organizations, or hopefully both of these organizations, if you live in the state of Tennessee, and you can find that link in the description. Thank you. All right, I've got them all loaded up now. So we're going to shoot the 43X first. Then we're going to shoot the SIG P365, then the Taurus GX4, then the Glock 19, and then we'll turn around and shoot the Shield Arms magazine in the 43X at the end. And so I'll start with the 43X, I'll end with the 43X, and maybe I'll get some sort of idea of what I think, how these all compare. Especially interested in the SIG and the 43X and the Glock 19 in the 43X. But let's give her a shot here. We're just going to do some shooting. Not too much talking, hopefully. And we'll talk about how I feel about it afterwards. down. Getting in a hurry. Shot pretty well. A lot of that was just me getting in a hurry. All right, we're gonna try it with the SIG 365 now. Much different feeling now. This really feels like a small grip now in comparison to that. And the slide feels really high. I mean, the SIGs always have a little higher bore axis, and you can kind of tell that, especially with this small grip on here. So it definitely feels different in the hand. Let's see how she shoots though. I never could get that 4-inch plate, but shot pretty well. Recoil impulse wasn't a lot more with that gun than the Glock really though. Very comparable recoil wise, even though it's got a shorter barrel and less of a grip to hold on to. Here's our GX4, our Taurus. Good night, this thing shoots well. Man, that shoots well. I don't know what to tell you. I know this is about the 43X, but this GX4 is impressive. It is absolutely impressive. Man, that thing shoots well. All right, our Glock 19. I hadn't shot this in a long time, since I did the video on it, I think. Last time I shot it. That shoots pretty good too. Definitely a little less recoil. It's a heavier gun, obviously. Got a little bit longer slide on it, and a little bit beefier, a little more in your hand. Fills your hand up a little more. But 43X is not, just out of the ballpark. We'll make sure we got that seated. Let's try the 43X again. There we go. It's a pretty good shooter. 43X, SIG P365, Glock 19. I felt like I shot them off fairly well, about the same. Now the GX4, I shot that really well. That I don't know how Taurus managed to do that. They worked wonders on that gun, because it shoots just absolutely amazingly. It's just effortless. It's like you hit without even trying. And it's such a small gun that just you wouldn't expect that. But got to get back to the 43X. Can't talk about the Taurus anymore. But I like it. I do like this gun. It's a nice shooting little gun. And, recoil wise, it's not a, I can't tell a whole lot of difference between it and the 19. Maybe a little bit more recoil, but I mean, 9mm is not, just a powerhouse. It's not like it just knocks you around anyway. But sometimes with a small gun and 9mm, it's a handful. And, none of these guns to me are a handful to shoot. They're not just beating me up or anything, but I mean, I'm a pretty big guy, and I shoot a lot. And the more you shoot, the stronger your wrists get, I guess you could say. You get used to that recoil. You get used to being able to handle it. Just like with anything, your trigger finger, the more you shoot, the stronger your trigger finger gets, especially if you shoot double action revolver. Like I do quite a bit, your trigger finger gets really strong. The weight of the trigger doesn't make as much difference anymore. For some people, if you get a trigger over 5 pounds, they can't shoot it for anything. They need a hair trigger just to be able to shoot. And that's because they haven't, worked enough to build up the strength in their trigger finger. Whereas if you shoot a ton of double action revolver over a long period of time, your trigger finger gets strong enough that you really can't tell the difference between 5 and 6 pounds or 7 pounds, because you're used to 11, 12 pounds and a long trigger pull, and these guns here just don't feel like they have a heavy trigger no matter what. So but I do like this gun, and the Shield Arms magazine seems to be doing pretty well as long as you seat it. And for whatever reason, I was thinking it was seated when I pushed it in there, and that's, I think, maybe what it is. It's not very positive when it goes in. The click is not very positive. I mean, it's there, but, and maybe that's what it was. I just thought I had it in there and I didn't, but anyway, that was just me, I'm sure. So I'm not going to say there's anything wrong with that Shield Arms magazine. You see, there's a difference there. Notice, if you can see and hear this, when I seat the Glock magazine, hear that click? It's a loud pop you get. With the Shield Arms magazine here, it's not. It's a very weak click. So I'm not sure what the deal is with that. If maybe, I'm really not sure. Looks like the size of the cutout on the Shield Arms magazine is a little bit smaller. And, got a strange contour on this one side as well. Kind of odd the way it's contoured on the one side, but I don't know. But yeah, it's very, I mean, there is a click, but it's not very loud, it's not very strong, whereas with the Glock magazine, you can definitely tell you've got it seated. You can hear that loud positive click there. So, maybe that's why I wasn't seating it, because I thought I had it all the way in there, because you can't really hear it, and I just pushed it until I thought it was in there, and I don't know. But anyway, there it is, the Glock 43X, and I can see why it's popular. I can see why people have gravitated toward this, because it's light. There's definitely a difference between the weight of the 19 and the 43X, though it's not as light as some of these other guns. I don't believe it feels like it's a little heavier than the 365, or it's definitely heavier than the GX4. So it's going to be on a little bit more on your waist than one of those. But I mean, if you're someone who really needs that full grip in order to shoot a gun well, then that may be what you're looking for. Not everybody can shoot the little guns as well as others. And some people say, well, my hands are just too big. Well, I don't know if that's necessarily the case. There's a guy like Hickok 45 that has gigantic hands. I mean, the guy's 6'8". He's got gigantic hands, and he shoots these little bitty guns like nobody's business. A lot of it's just what you get used to and what you're able to do without getting that full grip, how steady you can be without a full grip. Because nobody really is going to get a full grip on one of these little bitty tiny guns. But if you're somebody that just don't like it and you don't want to learn, you don't want to mess with those tiny guns because it's just not comfortable for you, everybody's different. Everybody's got different preferences. And if that's the case, maybe this is the gun you're looking for, the Glock 43X. And so far, that Shield Arms magazine has been 100% reliable. So, maybe that's the option you're looking for in a carry gun. So you can get that 15-round capacity without having to tote around this great big brick called a Glock 19 on your side. So one thing I just noticed, I just figured out, is when the magazine, the Shield Arms magazine, is loaded, there is a difference in the way it loads. And that I guess is what was causing the problem. Because when you load the Shield Arms magazine without a magazine, it's not very positive. You can't hardly tell when it goes in, when it clicks. It's not very loud. But when you load it a loaded magazine, you really have to push it up in there to get it to seat, is apparently what it is. And sometimes you think you've got it all the way in and it looks like it should be seated because it's all the way up, and it's not. You really have to push it to make it lock in. And that's what I was failing to do. Even with the slide open. I mean, it's almost like the slide is closed. You know, when the slide's closed, sometimes it's hard to load a magazine, but even with the slide open, it's not wanting to lock in easily. You have to force it in there. So you might want to just tap the bottom, you know, like to make sure it's seated when you use the Shield Arms magazine. So that's why the mag fell out, because it's when it's fully loaded, it's a little harder to seat than when it's empty. Anyway, guys, I appreciate you coming out. God bless you. Y'all take care of yourselves. We'll see you next time.